Hey there, my name's Chris Abraham, and I am Team Lead Special Projects at Reputation.com. And this is a sneak preview to test my timing of a deck I will be giving in about an hour or so to the alumni of my undergrad alma mater, George Washington University. So, it'll be a little focused on that, but hopefully you'll learn something as well. I will be recording each version and iteration of this that I do, as long as it's not a BD or sales deck, as long as it's just an educational deck. I thought, what the heck. So today's webinar is Take Control of Your Reputation Online. I am Chris Abraham, and this is all my contact info, and that is my face with squinty eyes and nerdy glasses. So you can reach me, of course, at Reputation, at my personal email, via LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, chrisabraham.com, or chris-abraham.com, which is my Tumblr, and has just a lot of general stuff, as opposed to Chris Abraham, which has more longer form things. So Reputation, it's an amazing company. I'm blissed out to be there. Been there for about 3 months now, and their goal is to bring your personal brand or your corporate brand more in line with what is being said online. So lots of people have completely ignored the detritus, the detraction, the besmirchment that happens to them online over time in cumulative effect. And Reputation.com is the world's best at cleaning your online reputation and also cleaning your personal information and restoring you to privacy. What I'm focused on with special projects is executives, public figures, high net worth individuals, public and private companies, and Fortune 1000 corporations. So I'm a little high end here, but this video will be useful for anyone, even small businesses and singletons and kids in and just out of college. ORM stands for Online Reputation Management. Your online reputation is a lot of things. I mean, it is a lot more than you think it is. It is either a funhouse mirror, or it is the thinning mirror that they seem to have at clothing stores and boutiques that make you look skinnier and more beautiful. Or it could be, a dirty mirror. It could be a freak show mirror. So really, it basically is what's on your search results and what people say about you online and what people have said. And it's even what people say about people who aren't you, but who have the same name that you do. So can be reviews, publishing. And the thing about this, including public records and lawsuits and so forth, but and also images of you that weren't taken by you. So the thing about this is that the less you say about yourself online, the more anything and everything anybody else says about you online will count. So if you have a traditional business, which is very phone and personal relationship based, and you don't have, quote, I don't have time to go out there and participate online, then Google is very innovative and indefatigable and will go ahead and create a profile on you no matter what. And you are judged by the first page of search. Easy to find stuff on Google. People go to Google. There's no filter, and it's forever. And like I said, with regards to the mirror, there is generally a damage that is the difference between what you are and what is said about you, that difference between the buzz and the reality. Sometimes the buzz online about you, if you pay for it, portrays you as much more lovely than you actually are in real life, but that dark side, that part that you believe a good PR team can hide, can easily be revealed on the internet. There's no barrier to entry. Companies are judged on their reputation online. It's much easier to check Google than it is to go ahead and do a Yelp search, or it is to ask your friends, or to sign up for Angie's List, or for anything. People go in via search, and that's how they hunt. And a lot of people read product reviews. You know, they find it on search, and then they hunt it down. Now, those reviews can be on Yelp, but they also could as likely be on message boards and forums. Message boards and forums are as highly optimized for search as are the review sites, as is your website. 53% of users do not go past the first two results, and 89 don't get past the first page, and 99% don't get past the second page. So you are judged not only by your first page, but by your first 2 or 3 listings. And just for your edification, that can include ads. People do not discern. So if you have an ad, a paid contextual ad that is in the blue box or the gray box at the top, in this case the pink box, see those 2 sponsored pink results, Via in Spain and Spain Holiday Villa, those make people stop. They do not discern. There's also a psychology. As we know right now, there is anticipated search. So while you're popping up someone's name, it pops up what it predicts your search to be, and it could be something very awful. People also love the sensational. They love the gossip. They don't necessarily click all the way through. They can just get a feel from the page. We look at the most interesting stuff. We don't even think. We have no discernment, like I said before. We just go for it. We just jump down the rabbit hole. And that doesn't, and to be honest, the more sensational, the more attractive the article, the more likely it's going to bubble its way up to the top of Google anyway. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, for example, Vodafone. There's too many checks and balances, right? So you go ahead and you polish. You spend lots of money on agencies and crisis management firms and PR shops, and yet still, people create things like I hate Vodafone forums, or Comcast sucks, and all these other kinds of things. Parody sites, images, memes, all these kinds of things. They break right through the shiniest. I mean, there's zero since 1996, since 1993. There's been zero barrier to entry, and while a lot of companies and brands and people have been late adopters, it hasn't been from lack of necessity. It's been from lack of knowledge. People have been walking around like TV announcers with gorgeous ties and shirts and blazers and hairdos and makeup for HD with no pants. So pull your pants up and learn how to get some control of your reputation. The kind of threats, for example, Governor Norquist, articles, wikis, images. It doesn't matter what kind of good stuff and how many things you own. If you need to push it all down, you need to push it past page 1. There's only a certain number, even if you have a team of SEO gods. There really are only a certain number of things that you can pull to the top until you take a larger view of your reputation past just, wiki, website, foundation site, personal site. You need at least 10 or 11 wicked strong, constantly updated properties, and this is what Grover Norquist didn't do. Monsanto too, there can be a propagation of fallacy. Enough people were doing searches on Whole Foods' distaste for Monsanto, its critique of Monsanto, that Monsanto and Whole Foods had become inexorably linked, which is to say, when people searched for Whole Foods, they would get Monsanto. When they would search for Monsanto, they would get Whole Foods. This is a machine language logical link that Google can barely prevent, but it can very much result in rumors, in fallacies, and in false flags. For example, these two articles, Monsanto buys out Whole Foods Market, or the organic elite surrenders to Monsanto. These are both misinformation. Shaw Group, you need positive validation by third parties. You can control the top results, but if there's no third party promoting, if the only herald that you have is for yourself, it can result in a feeling that you are in fact a one-man band and protesting too much. So it's just a general thing. In the past and up until recently, people have really done a good job of keeping track of clipping services, of seeing what's happening on the first page of New York Times, Good Morning America, blah, blah, blah. And they might have a pretty good website, but everything else has been a no man's land, a DMZ, a rough lands where social media and forum attacks and so forth, if you don't have a very complex assortment of properties and websites and subdomains and good architecture in your site, the most you're ever going to control for your brand or for yourself is the first result, maybe the first two, if there's interesting information. And as an aside, if you don't write the keywords that people are going to be writing about you or searching you on, you're not going to end up there at all. Google's very literal, and you need to be aware of that. Here's, for example, Mark Hurd, former HP CEO, Google page 1. Nothing's chronological. Nothing cares about what you have done lately. Since Google rewards the most sensational tend to live longer. Even though, theoretically, all things being equal, Google prefers fresh donuts, hot piping fresh donuts, and will favor new content. However, if old content is still piping hot and keeps well, like a macaroon, I guess, it'll stay there forever. So you'll really get caught between the old and the new. Even if you change your colors and have a metanoia and go ahead and are forgiven and become and leave all your sin behind and become a man of the cloth, there'll still be lots of that's a lamer story than when you were the devil incarnate. So it doesn't matter what you do now until you clear and scrub off what you've done in the past and then start with a blank slate, right? My joke is that you need to bring in us at Reputation.com with our Clorox bottle and stiff brush, because you'll never rent the apartment again if you can't get the blood and gore out of the carpet and off the walls, right? You just cannot start anew if you have the gruesome nature of your previous reputation chasing you down or coming up um, just incessantly. So there can also, because most people do not put the kind of time into feeding Google, your personal and corporate and company and brand reputation can be easily felled by one single crazy person who is out to show you for something simple. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't, for whatever it means. And even if libel is proven, and even if you can sue the pants off of people, it doesn't mean that you'll be able to take their comment, take their content offline. In fact, you sue them, and it can get much, much worse, because who's to say that one cannot take an Instagram of a cease and desist letter and then OCR it and then post it there saying, look, there must be something wrong with this situation. I am being attacked by lawyers. But we'll go into that later. Mistaken identity, right? Doesn't have to be your name. Chris Abraham, there's a Canadian Chris Abraham who's even more rock star than I am. He is a playwright and he is a play director of plays. He is reviewed by loads and loads and loads of very important culture editors and writers and newspaper people. And one day I hope to meet him. There's also a baseball player and a programmer and all kinds of other Chris Abrahams. And if one of them becomes a serial murderer, not me, I might be caught in that riptide. So, especially if, holy crap, if there's a fraudster named Chris Abraham who goes into social media PR communications, then I'm done for. Because that's at least, like in this case, we're birds of a feather, right? So, who knows? Same thing about things like, properties and hotels and so forth. But it doesn't matter. Things that are fascinating, that are interesting to people, such as murderers, even things like shooting in front or near your store can remain for years and years and years and affect your reputation online. Also here, you can be taken. I mean, I had a really interesting client who is now passed, but he was a Russian oligarch, and when I try to help him with his reputation, I'm like, where's your point of pain? When I promote your stuff, I need to know what you consider positive and neutral, and where the line for negative is. And he's like, well, I am happy to be a bon vivant, I'm happy to be a jet setter, I'm happy to be a baller, I'm happy to be a player, I'm happy to have you show me living a fabulous life. I'm happy to have pictures of me by the pool with supermodel Ukrainian blondes. And so that's pretty rare, right? So it was only when he was being accused of a felony count of stealing from the Soviet Union was he concerned. So really, what is considered negative is fully based on where your point of comfort is. And in this case, being extravagant to this real estate group was not a positive thing. So that's also something when you talk about PR, when you think about it, you need to think about. Here you go. Here's the suggestion. I don't know how they do it, but Reputation.com can knock away all 5 and most of 10 suggested keywords. However, have you checked to see what the suggested keywords are when you put your name in there? You don't get that information if you do all your searching from a tablet or from your iPhone or an Android device, but it's high volume, feedback loop propagates rumors, and you gotta look at that too. By the way, we can help you with that. But this is not a pitch, this is a share. Litigation. Depends who you're dealing with. I mean, you can always reach out to say, listen, I would love it if you could remove this information, but don't lead with lawyers. Don't lead with hostility. Try to be nice. The reason why this person is being such a dick is because they probably perceive you as a jerk, or as rolling over them, or as not listening, or as being unkind, or as taking advantage. So you need to stop and get friendly and make amends and see what's going on and see if you can help and see. And once you exhaust that, still maybe not lawyers. It exacerbates it. Libel just gives them more fuel. Scandal is awesome, especially in an environment, egad. They'll just take you alive, right? Whether you go ahead and and we'll see it in common mistakes. It's not SEO, or online reputation management is not SEO, right? So you can optimize your site, but you only have so much that you can control, right? Now, it used to be result after result, maybe 3 or 4 results for one site, but now they have this nested architecture result for a well-optimized site. So, as you'll see, all you have is that one block, right? You do not have the awesome kind of big space that you did before. There's no advertising either, so there's no 2 or 3 spaces, and so no amount of SEO spend can fix an ORM issue. So problems cannot be pushed down if you only own, 1, 2, or 3 spots. Litigation blows back. It can make a problem worse. It can create backlash. It can create a, if you will, groundswell of support, and sometimes it can bring more attention to the problem than it had in the first place, as I said before. 4 years later, half of page 1 results for the BC are negative portrayals of the case. Will not review. Gag contracts don't work either, right? Because the truth is that this is not wars between 2 sovereign nations. This is not the redcoats. This is not the North versus the South, right? These are not. These are asynchronous. This is asynchronous warfare. You might be in your redcoats about to fire off a volley with your muskets, and these guys are hidden in the trees, or they're dressed like villagers or whatnot, and a lot of them are poor, a lot of them don't have anything to lose, a lot of them in mom's basement, a lot of them don't have reputations to sully, and in fact, sullying your reputation makes theirs, right? It's a modern world. TMZ is not about improving reputations, it's about sullying them in pursuit of gossip and hype. And plus, First Amendment violation, right? That's a call to arms. The internet is libertarian, isn't it? Shaking your gavel, shaking your cane. It usually, even if you win, you lose. We all know that from PR anyway. It's just nasty. Posting fake reviews, tempting. Possible, but not a good idea. And I guarantee you're not good enough at it to be able to do it. And even if you are good enough at it, it's not good to do it. AstroTurfing, all that stuff, it'll blow up in your face. There are so many traps, so many everything. It's a short-term ineffective solution. It can be detected algorithmically. There are, if you will, it's a minefield. There are pressure plates everywhere. And to be honest, you'll get backlash. And there's FTC guidelines too, so you'll get sued. Maybe you're not, probably not, but the truth is that every once in a while the FTC goes after someone and makes an example out of them. It's illegal. Commenting on attack blogs forums, do not comment in an environment you don't control. And it will honestly just it'll only stoke the fire. It'll make that, the more content, the more results, the more replies, the more likes that a page gets, the higher it bubbles up on search, right? And honestly, you'll get attacked. Unless you really are willing to go to the mat and completely commit and throw yourself at the mercy of the court. If you feel like you're going to get in there by debate or by argument, you are going to get eaten by one bite at a time by 1,000 piranhas. All right, and you can ignore it. That's what you've been doing up till now. So go check your search and make sure your pants are up or your pants are down. Practices. So, if you create good buzz, if you have games like tickets, if you become trending topics, if you can go ahead and create an upswell of positive conversation that's not you, then you're a winner. But if you if you give a half-assed competition or play favorites and don't let everybody play, if you play elitist, you don't let everybody play, or if you have if you go ahead and give a bunch of free stuff to select bloggers, hoping that they'll write about it without telling anybody, that's not going to work either. If you go ahead and if you put all in for social media, but if you really engage, not if you just go ahead and squat on all of your sites, if you really participate on Twitter and on Facebook and really lock in and participate and create YouTubes and go to Google Plus and create pages and profiles and hashtags and link everything together and link to it from your site and link from it from the social media site and listen more than you speak and really double down, you can take up most of the page. See, 8 to 10. I remember Woolworths. I'm old enough to realize that it wasn't just Australia. Another thing, there you go, H&M dominates the young people. I'm personally too husky. No, I've never been into H&M. Too fancy. Anyway, you can really control it if you take your, everybody's doing tumblers. H&M hauls, right? There's that big meme on YouTube where people show off what they bought. You can put a big display in H&M or wherever you work saying, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. This store has this hashtag. If you do a haul, go ahead and hashtag it. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of take back your space. Prevention is less expensive than treatment. We know that from plumbers, right? You call them at 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve. You're going to pay probably a lot different fee than if you make sure your pipes are intact and your electrical system is intact and your roof is patched. Diversity is important. Don't put all of your eggs into your website because that just doesn't create enough space. We are taking control of the first page of Google. Empty search results mean that Google is going to become creative, right? If it can't find anything, then it starts to think. If it can find lots of stuff, Google's dumb and literal, If it can't find anything, then it starts to look around. It needs to give a good result. It'll dig deeper, it'll dig wider, it'll dig more creatively, it'll change the name Joe to Joseph, it'll change the name Inc. to Incorporated, and that's when you're dangerous because you can't predict the outcome. So fill that space. Don't click on negative stuff. Google tracks your clicking as well as anybody else, and in places where there isn't much traffic, one click can go a long way to going ahead and popping the negative stuff up. And get in front of online reviews. Engage, but you also have to improve. Get your company, get your variations on company, get as many domain names as possible. Fill out all the profiles on as many industries as you can. Do not fill out your own company information or your own personal information on Wikipedia. You need to get it high profile enough that someone else will. There are ways to go ahead and catalyze that. Start a blog, start a Twitter, start a Tumblr, and a TypePad, and a WordPress, and a Facebook, and a Google Plus, and then engage. Do a search, find people who are talking about you, engage in the conversation. Thank you for reviewing them. Thank you for positive reviews. Thank you for retweets. Thank you for tweets. Communicate regularly with your stakeholders, your potential, your prospects. Give more than you take. Share other people's content. Do follow Fridays. Include hashtags. And then keep track of all the people that you don't control and just follow them, forums, review sites, social media. You need to match your actions with your words, and you need to match your words with your actions. You can't say you're a rose if you're a stink bug. Do not blame the victims for what they say about you. Always look in the mirror. When you're pointing, always realize that when you point at someone, 3 of your fingers are pointing back at you. Take responsibility for sucking if you do suck. Take responsibility for being blah if you are blah. And then also do reputation management for all your key players. Get the domain names for your board of directors. Make sure that they have separate sites and separate properties for you, for your C-suite executives, for your key players, for your council. Get the domain names for all your products and services. Do it. And of course, your websites, create new content. Make sure that your personal website changes all the time. Add a blog or a news or an RSS or something. But if you're going to create a blog, create a separate blog. Do not just make a blog part of your site because then it'll become invisible. Yeah, and also, I used to do this all the time. Get your defensive URLs. Your name sucks. Chris Abraham sucks. Chris Abraham blows. Chris Abraham's a douchebag. Douchebag Chris Abraham. Social media spammer Chris Abraham. I don't know. Get those and just have them linked to your site. I don't know. Or have them linked to Sesame Street website. I don't know. And then do good stuff. Get involved philanthropically. Become members of boards. Do what I do. Participate at Miriam's Kitchen. That turned my horns into a halo. Even though I love it, it's totally not for PR, but don't tell anybody. Engage in social media, like I said before, but don't forget, they're not broadcast mediums. You need to look for @replies. You need to look for direct messages. You need to realize that YouTube and Facebook and Flickr are communities. You need to respond to comments. 20-80, right? 20% contributing, 80% listening, and then contribute to the responses. Sarcasm is never okay. fill out your, and sarcasm is never okay. Always be earnest, always be loving. I always say, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. And I say hugs, not horns. So give hugs. Do not fight fire with fire. Everybody is a troll on the internet unless verified otherwise. Participate in all. Give way more. Be proactive with reviews. Tell people on review sites that you're there to help. Fill out all your profiles. Participate loyal patients and followers and friends and associates to review. Make it easy for them. Create a review me business card. Create a review me circular, and make it super easy for them. Because unless it's totally easy, people won't do it. Maybe you can even put a kiosk in your store and let people do it in the waiting room. Anyway. And give them, I don't know, can you give people percent for that? A discount for doing that? Whether or not they write lovely things, give them a discount, give them a coupon. Here's some other examples for a practice, the doctors, and the doctors. It's very good. Do you have any questions? I have to get off now because I got to get ready for my real webinar. So you don't have any questions. So please put your questions in the comments, and I will actually read them, and I will respond to them, and I'll be awesome, and I'll tell you what you want to know. And also let me know if you want any follow-up videos, all right? Lots of love. Thank you. And don't forget that I am Chris Abraham, and I'm at these things. LinkedIn.com/in/Chris Abraham, Facebook.com/Chris Abraham, YouTube.com Chris Abraham, ChrisAbraham.com, and I forgot to put, but I am at Chris Abraham on Twitter. Thank you very much.